Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sumukascha ekadantaccha kapilo katakarnakaha. Lambodharascha vikato vignaracho vinayakaha. Dhoomaketurganadhyakshaha palachandro gajananaha. Vakratundha surpakarno herambha skandapurvajaha. Shuklambaradharam vishnum sativardam chaturbhujam prasannavadanam dhyayet sarvavighnopashantaye. Yasya dviradavakradhyaha parishadhyaha parastatam vigham nighanti satatam vishvaksenam tamasraye. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheswaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Satchidananda Rupaya, Krishnaya Aklishtakarine, Namo Vedanta Vedhyaya, Gurave Buddhisakshine, Krishna Dvaipayanam Jasam Sarvabhuta Hiteratam, Vedabcha Bhaskaram Bande Samadhi Nilayam Munim. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. With Bhagavan's grace, let us continue. We came up to Slokam number 29. We saw or heard how the 5 elements were created from the tamasic ahamkaram. This is not outside of us, it is very much part of us. If you look at it yourself, ahamkaram is there, that I feel I'm separate from God, I'm part of this body, right? So in that process, that the 5 elements got created. Then, going to number 30, Vaikarikava, there is the Sattvic or ahamkaram is there. Our own feeling about ourselves, all the feelings are wrong, of course, but within the ambit in which we operate, the feeling of I associated with the body and the mind, there are 3 classifications. We ourselves can easily relate to it. The sattvic thing, the sattvic part of the ahamkaram, what did it do? It created the manas, the mind. Then the mind, it got generated from the moon, not the physical part of the moon that is out there. It is from the mind, the moon got projected, the cooling tendency, the cooling effect of that moon. Then also the body has got 10 senses. We know that. But each sense has got a controlling, a presiding deity, presiding deva, the effulgence of Bhagavan. And those controlling deities, the presiding deities, also got generated. They came out of the sattvic ahamkaram. This is what number 30 says. Vaikarikavat manaha jagye devaha vaikarika dasa. Dik vatarka prachetaha asvi vagni indra upendra mitra kaha. Vaikarikavat manaha jagye deva vaikarika dasa. Dik vatarka prachetaha asvi vagni indra upendra mitra kaha. Vaikarikavat, from the sattvic ahamkaram came manaha, the mind, jagni, that got generated, deva in this case, it relates to the mind. Does not mean the bundle of cassettes. It is that, but the Chandrama Manaso Jataha, Krishnaswami says, that also got generated from the Vaikarikavat. Then Devaha Vaikarika Dasa. The Dasa here denotes the 10 senses, the 5 senses of action and 5 senses of perception. But the Deva for the Dasa denotes the controlling deities. And what are those deities? We have Dik, Vata, Arka, Prachetaha, Asvihi. Those are the 5 deities that controls our jnanendriyas, the senses of perception, or the senses of knowledge, the understanding. Dik, Vayuhu. Vata means Vayuhu. Arka is sun. Prachetaha is Varuna. And Aswin, that another Deva. These are the 5 for controlling deities for Jnanendriyas. Then Vagnihi, Indra, Upendra, Mitra, Kaha. Vagnihi is fire. Indra is Indra. Upendra, Mitra is Mitra. Kaha is Brahma. These are deities controlling the 5 senses, 5 organs of action, the karmendriyas. So, Deva Vaikarika Dasa, the controlling deities for the 10 indriyas that we have, that got generated from the Vaikarikavat, from the Vaikarika or Sattvic Ahamkaram. Vaikarikavat Manaha Jagni Devaha Vaikarika Dasha Dik Vatarka Prachetaha Asvi Vagni Indra Upendra Mitra Kaha. Number 31. So that leaves the Rajasic Ahamkaram. So we saw what came out of the Tamasic part of it. It came out of the Sattvic part of it, of the Ahamkaram. Then what about the Rajasic thing? Now, as you would guess, the controlling deities, the presiding deities came out of the Sattvic, which is always beneficial. Because the deity, if the deity is not operating, then I cannot see or I cannot hear, right? But the actual tools, the organs of perception and the organs of action, right? Those came out of the Taijasat, which is the Rajasic Ahamkaram. And what are those? See, the Dasa Indriyani, the 5 senses of action and 5 senses of perception. Interestingly, the 5 senses of perception, if you take, through which we get the knowledge about the world that we live in, isn't it? Through the 5 powers, through our Jnanendriyas, we get Jnana, which means not the ultimate Jnana, but the knowledge about the world. We see things, so we see a form. We hear something, so we hear what the sound is, right? And we smell, we taste, and then we touch. Through those 5 senses, we relate to the external world. That's the Jnana Sakti. Okay? Then we also have the impulse that tells us to act. And what are the 5 types of actions that we do? Right? We see through our eyes, that's an action. We hear through our ears, that's an action. We speak through our mouth. Then the procreation activity and the excreting activity. This is what the body does. All these 5 actions are all taking place out of Kriya Sakti. Okay? And to have the Jnana Sakti or the knowledge, you need Buddhi. Right? Now, to have the 5 senses of action, for all the organs of action to take place, you need prana. The prana Sakti is required, which is the Kriya Sakti is coming from the prana. These came, the Rajasic Ahamkaram mutated or transformed. It came out of the Rajasic Ahamkaram, these 10 sense organs, which also associated with that is the Jnana Sakti and the Kriya Sakti. Taijasat tu Vikurnavat Indriyani Dasa Abhavan. Jnana Sakti, Kriya Sakti, Buddhi, Pranaha cha Taijasau. Taijasat tu, from the Rajasic Ahamkaram, Vikurnavat transformed or came about, Indriyani, Dasa Indriyani Abhavan. The 10 sense organs came about. Jnana Sakti, Buddhi, the 5 senses of the perception, the Jnanendriyas, that the Jnanam that each one gets comes out of the Buddhi that came about. Taijasau, that also part of the Rajasic Ahamkara. Kriya Sakti, Pranaha cha. the five senses of action that our organs of action do, that requires some Shakti that comes from prana. So prana also came about from Taijasat. Taijasatu vikurnavat indriyani dasa bhavan. Jnana Saktihi, Kriya Saktihi, Buddhihi, Pranaha cha Taijasau. Now, from the Tamasik Ahamkaram, the five elements, Panchapodhangal came, so the body can be formed. Body is made of five elements only, nothing more. Then, from the Sattvic part of the Ahamkaram, remember the Ahamkaram came about Mahat Tattvam, that we saw that earlier. Now, from the Sattvic Ahamkaram, we have the mind that came about, and the controlling deities for the 10 organs that came about. So that is there. Then from Rajasic Ahamkaram, the 10 organs of 5 organs of perception and 5 organs of action came about. The 10 Indriyas actually came about. Now all these are there. But does the job end there? No. Because just imagine, if I want to make myself a cup of coffee, I take coffee powders available. Okay, let's assume I even got decoction as an example. Make it even simpler to understand. So decoction is there. Then I've got water there separately. I've got milk. I've got a cup, a tumbler or whatever. Everything is there. Then I've got separately, I've got fire. Does it make a cup of coffee? All these have to be combined together, isn't it? Same way, just imagine the food that we eat. Okay? Some delicious food item comes on our plate. But how did it start? Vegetables got cut, kept on a plate. Then the salt was kept separately. Masala powder was kept separately. Water was kept separately. Everything was available. But does that make the food for us? It has to be combined and activated so that we get. Then, if you would go to one more sense beyond that, okay, that will explain not this slokam but the next slokam, 33, so but as well cover that. Suppose, say, we take our cooking analogy and your favorite dish that you want to prepare. So, you know all the ingredients have been kept, both for powders as well as vegetables, as well as liquid form like water and all that, whatever you want to take, tamarind paste or whatever, right? All those things are there. Everything is there. And everything is individual, separate. They have to be first combined, isn't it? Now, they have to be combined in a certain way. Now, the interesting thing is, when they are made properly, and the taste that you enjoy, okay, where did the taste come from? That comes from the basic constituents of everything. There is a commonality of sweetness, of attraction that is present in all these things. That element of attraction has to come into each of these disparate and discrete items. Then it can combine everything and give you the taste that you enjoy. That common ingredient is Purusha, is Bhagavan. Okay? In our own self, going back to our personal self, coming from the cooking table to our own self, body has been created. The whole universe has been created with 5 elements and all that. Mind has been created. Buddhi has been created. Okay? But it has to be, everything has to be brought together, right? So that they can be animated. So the sweetness of Bhagavan, which is a common element, has to come through. So Bhagavan has to enter all these various things that have been created by the Ahamkaram. That is why in Vishnu Sahasranamam we say, Isvam Vishnuho. Isvam is Bhagavan completely. But he also has entered, present. So Mame Vamso Jiva Loke Sarva Bhuta Sanatanaha. Sarva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Whatever. The point is, that entity has to enter in order to enliven and animate and combine, integrate all the so-called disparate things. These 2 activities are now being described in Slokams 32 and 33. 32 says, Yada yete asangata bhava bhuta indriya mano gunaha Yada ayatana nirmane na sekuhu brahma vittama, he says. Yada yete asangata bhava bhuta indriya mano gunaha Yada ayatana nirmane na sekuhu brahma vittama. Brahma vittama, one who's always involved in Brahman, one who's got the knowledge. In Narada is what Brahma is addressing Narada. Brahma vittama is an address to Narada. He says, Yada yete asangata bhava. Yada yete. In this way, all these things that have formed due to the ahamkara, they are bhuta, indriya, manaha, gunaha. The bhuta, the universe is formed. Indriya, all the senses have been formed. Manaha, the mind has come. Gunaha, the characteristics of the nature, the prakriti. Those three characteristics have come. But asangata bhava, they remained uncombined, unintegrated, not being assembled together. And therefore, yada ayatana nirmane nasekuhu. Ayatana, because they remained uncombined and unintegrated, nasekuhu, not possible to nirmane ayatana, to assemble the body. What we consider ourselves our body right now, apart from the physiological and scientific miracle it is on one side, on the other side, looking at it from the creation, it is just disparate. It is, what is it that's combining it together? Is the breath I'm taking in, is that combining it? The life force is combining it. But beyond that, there is an impulse of love, impulse of prema. That is what integrating the mind, the buddhi, the senses, prana, and the physical body, everything. Without that prema, they're all disintegrated. They're all unassembled. So the body doesn't exist. So, nasekuhu nirmane ayatana, it was not possible to assemble or put together or make the various embodiments, what we call as bodies. Okay, even though the components have been made. Then in 33, Brahma continues, Tada samhrutya cha anyonyam bhagavat saktihi choditaha sat asatvam upadaya cha ubhayam satsrujuhu hi adaha. Tada samhrutya cha anyonyam bhagavat saktihi choditaha sat asatvam upadaya cha ubhayam satsrujuhu hi adaha. Tada, thereafter, they all disparate. Then Vishwam has been created. Vishnu has to enter. Then Tada, thereafter, Samhrutya is how all these disparate things, mind and buddhi and senses, everything, ahamkaram, everything was put together, assembled, integrated, anyonyam, without any difference. Do we see a difference now between our body and mind? See, when we think of us, we think of it without any difference, isn't it? The prana that we take in, we don't differentiate that with our body and mind complex or buddhi. Everything is integrated, anyonyam, without any difference. Because Bhagavat Saktihi Choditaha, when Bhagavan Sakti, which means Swami entered that as what we call as Jiva, right? We call it as Jivatma, right? If Jiva is we call it life force or whatever you want to call it. The thing is, that is an amsam, an aspect, an indivisible part, the whole of Bhagavan present in each one of these components, constituents. That's what's causing all of them to be put together. They all function together as one entity. That thing that is, see, to combine something, you need to attract, isn't it? Put together. That attraction is raso vai saha. That is what Upanishad says. That rasam is prema eva, only prema. That prema is the one that attracts. So that's the essence in everything. Mind is also divine. Buddhi is also divine. Senses are also divine. everything is infused and immersed only in prema. That Bhagavat Sakti, Choditaha, it was applied. Bhagavan entered Vishnu. Then, Sat, because of that, Sat Asatvam Upadaya. See, there are two things. We know, it applies it personally. This is not, it's not a knowledge outside you. This applies to each one of us individually and personally 100%. So don't think of it as Brahma sitting there somewhere and creating. This happening in our mind. Sat Asatvam Upadaya. Very important. We know each one of us that the awareness of unreal thing, Asatvam. At the same time, we're also aware there is something that is real, that is Sat. Upadaya, both are part of the creation. Creation is not unreal. It has got both the real thing, the truth, as well as what we call as Maya. Right? It is combined with both. Maya it's not separate. Both of them are present. Ubhayam, both. Sasrujuhu, they came into existence. He, certainly, are there in this universe, in this prapancham. This is how all the 8.4 million types of embodiments, the creations, are taking place every kshanam. Okay, this is what he has taken us through, how it is done. Then in 34, Varshaphuga Sagasrante Tat Andam Udake Sayam Kala Karma Svabhavastaha Jiva Ajivan Ajivayate. Then Varshaphuga Sagasrante Tat Andam Udake Sayam Kala Karma Svabhavastaha Jiva Ajivan Ajivayate. So, how, when we say Vishnuhu, Visvam Vishnuhu, the Vishnuhu is explained more here. When Bhagavan entered, Varshaphuga Sagasrante, Sagasra, many years, Varshaphuga means many years, Sagasra, Varshaphuga, many years, Ante, at the end of it, Sat, Andam Udake Sayam. This, Udakam means, it's English translation, people say it like the causal water, or what we call Ksheerasagara, okay? The causal water. But this causal water is, we say everything is Sagaram, ocean and all that. That means immediately it does not mean it is liquid. But it gives us on a upamanam basis, on a intellectually understandable basis, right? That it is huge and vast. Okay, you might as well say it is also a huge envelope of air, but that's difficult for us to imagine it, right? Or huge envelope of sky, but difficult. When we say it is like an ocean, we can immediately begin to understand it a little bit. So Udake, appreciate it that way. So Udake said, this Viswam that was created was again in the ocean of prema, and after it lied, it stayed like as a cosmic egg, okay, to put it in English, as a cosmic egg containing all these various forms, okay, that it was like that for immersed in the ocean of prema for thousands of years, at the end of which Kala Karma Svabhavastaha, employing the tools of kalam, time, karma, the attitude and the efficiency of doing work, Svabhavastaha, Svabhavam, the will to project many from one. Okay? All those things combined, Jiva, the Jivatma, Bhagavan, Ajivan, which was inanimate objects, all these were, Ajivayate, he integrated and brought life to every one of them. So that is what 34 says. Varshaphuga Sagasrante Tat Andam Udake Sayam. Kalakarga Svabhavastaha Jiva Ajivan Ajivayate. Those of you who know Purusha Suktam in the class, I don't know how many of you know that. There is a thing. Tasmaat Virajayata, then Virajo Adipurusha. First is the expansiveness. The cosmic egg means that expansiveness is already first is created. Only then the life force, what we call as a life force, was put in because Bhagavan entered it. Okay, then the creation took place. Number 35. Sahayeva Purushaha Tasmat Andam Nirdhidya Nirkataha Sakastra Uru Angri Bahu Akshaha Sakastra Anana Firshavane. Sahayeva Purushaha Tasmat Andam Nirdhidya Nirkataha Sakastra Uru Angri Bahu Akshaha Sakastra Firshavane. Now here, Sahayeva Purushaha, that Purushan, only that Purusha. Now, it is not outside somewhere. It is very much inside each one of us. Now, personalize this slokam, it will become clear. The Bhagavan who is within me, activating my mind and everything, through kalam, karvam and svabhava. How do I perceive the world? I create literally infinite forms, right? So many forms I create in my mind, not only people, but also other, not only human beings, but other forms. So even if you look at the room you have, how many forms that out there that you create in your mind? There are hundreds of them, isn't it? Whether it's a sofa or a table or human being or a piece of rope or a carpet or whatever it is, or a light, all these various forms we create. Isn't it? Sahasra Rupaha. And each one of these has got different, they're all not same. They've got, to put it in a human way, they've got different heads, they've got different thighs, they've got shoulders, they've got different eyes, faces, and they've got heads. It's infinite forms that I am creating. How does this happen within me? Bhagavan bursts out. He bursts out, piercing this Vishwam. Okay? Comes out, breaks out, and comes out and in these infinite forms with infinite heads and shoulders and thighs and hands and legs and heads and all that. Okay? This is what's happening to each one of us. Every minute, the same creation is taking place. The forms are not limited to physical form. They can be formless, but the thoughts and feelings, right? They don't have any form, but they are very much present. That is also bursting out. Bhagavan, the Purusha Eva, Saha, Purushaha Eva. It is whatever that I see and I create is that Purusha only. He is bursting out from within me, so to speak. Okay? And appearing like this. So this is a very important aspect to understand and personalize. Okay? Sahayeva Purushaha Tasmat Andam Nirbidya. Nirbidya means to come out, break out, burst out. And it happens instantly, isn't it? Nirgataha, coming out, appearing. Sahasra Uru, 1,000 thighs. Sahasra Angri, and feet, 1,000 infinite feet. Sahasra Bahu, infinite shoulders. Sahasra Akshaha, infinite eyes. Sahasra Anana, infinite faces. Sahasra Sirshaha, infinite heads. So, various types of forms, variety of forms, right? That is how the creation is taking place. It's nothing short of a wondrous miracle. Ascharyam is the word Swami uses in Bhagavad Gita. That people say, that talking about, some people talk of it as it is Ascharyam, wondrous. And some people hear of it, hear that, oh, it's Ascharyam. And so we cannot describe it. It is beyond. It's wondrous. It's not only wondrous, it's wonderful, and it is something that is enchanting and fabulous. There's no way to describe what's happening because Bhagavan nirbidhya nirgataha andam. He comes out, bursts out, and appearing like infinite forms, infinite shapes, and infinite ways. So this is why Purushottam says Sahasra Tirasha Purushaha. It begins like that. Okay. And In Sahasranamam also we say that. In Bhagavad Gita, everywhere we say, all these forms that appear are me only. That's what Bhagavan says. Satchidanandam we say. Satchit Anandam is Bhagavan. Okay? That is Prema. But it takes Rupam and Namam, forms and names. That is us. So the Rupam and Namam go away. What is remaining is Satchidanandam only. So because in creation, Rupam, the form and names are have to be present. Without, it's impossible to have a form without a name. And it is possible to have a name without a form, but a name always denotes a form. Okay? Whether it's invisible form or visible form. So without, if you remove those two, Rupam and Namam, which is how Bhagavan appearing in front of us, as Purushottam says, okay, then what is remaining is Satchidanandam only. So all that we see is got these five things, Sat, Chit, Anandam, Rupam and Namam. And this slokam talks about how the Satchidanandam bursts out in infinite forms and infinite names. Sakayeva Purushaka Tasmat Andam Nirdhidya Nirgataha Sakasravuru Angri Bhagu Akshaha Sakatra Anane Srishavane. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavanto. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavanto. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavanto. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.